Someone once told me that aliens came to Earth 6 billion years ago. They are a nightmare in the human subconscious. A creature with 3 hearts, 8 tentacles, 9 brains, and blue blood. They can walk upright as well as use tools and imitate human actions. Camouflage, escape, spray toxic mist. All these superpowers can actually be performed by them. This is the species that has undergone the most successful evolution among the cephalopods known to humans. That's the octopus. However, I became confused and thought, if it is so powerful and has been on Earth for 6 billion years, then why is it cooked into many different fancy dishes by us, the humans? It was then that I learned that there was a genic key in whitewash, apparently to limit its superpowers. Is this an alien race that was defeated 6 billion years ago? Let's talk about them together in today's video. Back in 2011, a cyber resident filmed it on a fishing boat in Alaska. There's an enteroctopus doflani caught on the deck. It looks like it's looking for something because one of the pins got into a small hole. That's the drain on the deck. This hole is about 10 inches tall and 3 inches wide. Is he trying to escape with that hole? No one could believe that this whitewash had superpowers until it actually escaped into the ocean. Many netizens questioned the authenticity of the video, but it's true. Even this is not the limit of the whitewash. In 1996, scientists tested the capabilities of whitewashing in a lab. In the maze, there's a small hole measuring 2.5 centimeters and a 15 kR whitewash. Would you believe your eyes when the whiteworms swam through that little hole cleverly? There's also a small tube-shaped hole floating in the air, through which the shrimp can also pass, using its mutations to pull its own body out. The scientists calculated that the limit for a 60 kilo whitewash to escape through a hole a square inch wide. Do you remember our fluid cats? Exactly. It's because the whole body is as soft as water, except for its hard-mined mouth. In theory, as long as the mind can get through a hole, its entire body can go through. It's unbelievable that a creature close to my mass could pass through a bottle mouth. Scientific evidence shows that 6 billion years ago, humans and whiteworms had the same ancestor, a worm with eye spots on the body. Since then, humans and whites have undergone different evolutionary processes. Our ancestors chose to evolve into non-vertebrate animals using a networked nervous system, while our forefathers chose to develop into vertebrate animals and use the central nervous system. It's the skeleton that restricts our imagination, which makes us feel confused. How intelligent are the whites? The experiments were conducted to lock whitewash into a bottle, but only about 2 minutes later it opened the lid from the inside and got out. Earlier, in the 1990s, there were some scientists conducting this kind of experiment, and the conclusions they came up with were even worse. This man is a zoologist named Fiorito. He claims that the whiteworm can imitate and learn human behavior. Fio's team conducted an experiment teaching a Whitney how to open a bottle. They dropped the shrimp into the aquarium with a bottle that was tightly covered, inside containing a small crab. At first, the shrimp didn't know how to get food from this bottle, until the experimenters performed the operation of opening the lid in front of it and placing the bottle back in the aquarium. This time, the caterpillar has covered the bottle with its own body, just like a human hand, and the miracle has happened. The bottleneck has actually been opened, and its inner crab has become its delicious meal. This suggests it's not a coincidence. It clearly learns and imitates action in a very short time. We used to think that the spinal cord was stupid, without any ability to learn. But why are the shrimp so smart? Does it have anything to do with the evolutionary path it took 6 billion years ago? According to research, the body of a Whitney has about 5 billion neurons. Several hundred times less than humans have 850 billion. The number of neurons in whitewash is the same as that of a dog. but the distribution is very special. Its central brain contains only 10% of the nerve cells. The visual center is on both sides, containing 30%. The remaining 60% of the cells are distributed in the 8 cells of the leukocyte. This means that each rectangle can analyze and process information on its own. So in theory, a whale has all 9 brains. With an advanced creature with a brain like ours, how can we understand the concept of thinking with 9 brains at once? Not yet. One of the 8 reproductive caterpillars, it's called the hectocotylus. A sperm containing hectocotylus has to be injected into the body of a female whitewash to complete the replication process. But a female is usually bigger than a male. In it, there's a species called the Argonauta, whose females are 600 times bigger than males. The males must have been very stressed. How can they mate when there's such a big difference in size? In this case, when the males are unable to attract the female, some will break their own hectocotylus. Because the hectocotylus contains an independent brain, it can wrap up its own sperm for swimming and slide into the female leukocytes for fertilization. Scientists claim that the notion of having 9 brains is like having 8 subordinates following you. All you have to do is give them a simple fuzzy order so they can understand and do their job. In 1998, a Japanese fisherman captured a monster octopus with 96 tentacles, which is kept in the Shima aquarium. Other octopuses have 56 and 85 tentacles. These octopuses may be created by genetic mutations after exposure to nuclear radiation or a warning of natural disasters. Actually, neither is true. For scientists, that's normal. The monster whitewashes emerged from their powerful regenerative abilities. Take this monster whitewash with 96 cuttings as an example. It originally had 8 hectocotylus like the rest of the whitewashes. However, it broke the hectocotylus itself and left the whitewash inside the body several times. Every time one hectocotylus is broken, 2 new hectocotylus are reborn. Break 1, grow 2. And so it was until it was discovered that there were all 96 cells in the body. Large amounts of mutilation not only do not affect its day-to-day activities, but instead make it stronger. He's definitely the king of the ocean, and he's actually becoming a monster. Fortunately, the gene lock was activated immediately. So what exactly is the gene lock? Before we know that, let's take a look back at the life of a whitewash from a photographer named Craig, who's been watching a blue wash for 300 days. In 2021, it was announced that the entire video was titled My Octopus Teacher. On the first day, the beetle was alert to his appearance and hid in the cave. Craig had to leave his camera at the gate of the cave and swim out of the water. In the video, the whale used a shell as a shield while attacking the camera. On the 26th, Craig was able to get his hands on the whale for the first time, and it became as friendly as a dolphin. So they became friends. In the film recorded by Craig, this friend can change colors as the environment changes, has the ability to imitate, pretend to be other creatures to drive out the enemy, walks on 2 feet, and carries a shell or a coconut shell as a shield. On day 125, Craig saw his friend be attacked by a bunch of sharks. One of them bit a buckwheat and went on rolling. This is a shark's unique skill. Eventually, the shark cut off the crocodile and arrogantly left. The shrimp lost one, slowly returned to the cave, and stayed in it. But only a week later, the shrimp had come out of the cave, and it seemed like a new shrink had grown out of its body. On the 270th, Craig continued to capture the shrimp. The shrimp is different from the rest of the species because it swims backwards. This is an instinctive reaction to confuse the predator. However, the shrimp have solved this intelligent animal in only a short time. It spreads the body like a net, secretly approaches the shrimp from behind, and catches them successfully. Craig also noticed that shellfish often eat shell animals. But how could it eat the flesh inside that hard shell? If you look closely, you'll see some small holes above the crust connected to the muscles inside. Scientists have revealed the unique prey method of whitewashing as follows. It crushes the shell slowly by using the nails at the tip of the suction. Then the secretly secretes the poison accurately into the predator's muscles. This makes the shell open itself, and the animal can only give up resistance. It's a wise prey method, and of course, it's not an instinctive reaction of a whitewash, but formed through observation and self-learning. On the 304th day, the sharks came back. This time, the shrimp have mastered a new skill. It sprinkled very quickly and escaped into the sea, then swam to the shore. But the terrestrial environment is not the ideal place to escape. Taking advantage of the shark's hole, the whitewash quickly plunges into the sea. It immediately gathers many shells and holds them tight with its cuttings before the sharks plunge in. The white friend turned himself into a Spartan warrior. The shark bit it and lost some teeth. As a result, it is impossible to overcome the defenses of the shell. On the 324th day, the whiteworm fell in love. His partner laid about 10,000 eggs in the cave, and he's in charge of guarding the entrance while supplying the whiteworm with oxygen from his suction pipe. It doesn't eat or hunt, and it's getting weaker and weaker. By the day the whitewash bloomed, it was actually dead. The life of a caterpillar was made possible by genetic locking. The genes of the whitewash make it not live more than 2 years. It only couples once in a lifetime, and after coupling, the males die immediately. During the ovulation process, the body of the female whitewash also begins to decompose. Therefore, whitewashes never meet and learn from their parents. But with good learning skills and intelligence, they tried to learn all the skills themselves from the start. It's only 2 years before they turn into Spartan warriors. Besides, the genes of whitewashes make them solitary animals, unable to form a community. If whitewashes also live 80 years, then grandparents can teach fathers, and fathers can teach their sons. If whites are also sociable animals, then teachers can teach students. But the genetic lock restricts everything. If they can break the genetic lock and live on Earth, they will surely become the strongest enemies of mankind in 30,000 years, not to mention 3 million years. Thanks to the genetic lock that limits them to the sea, humans can live in society and communicate knowledge. Are these possibilities the rewards we got from the Star Wars 6 billion years ago? If you're lucky, listen to me tell you about a story that can make you feel insecure right away. Back in 2005, a team of biologists discovered an exotic species of whitewash in the landscape of North Australia. The whiteworm can actually walk on the ground and even hunt prey. Because the landscape is divided into many ponds of different sizes, if there are no crabs in the pond, the crab needs to get to shore and move to another pond. Scientists say the whitewash has gradually acquired land-based characteristics. Remember, human ancestors also unlocked their genes after they evolved and lived on land. Is the 6 billion-year-old deal expired? Pineapples are beginning to live on the ground and unlock their genes. Is the alien invasion that we're worried about not coming from outer space but from the ocean? There'll probably be thousands of science fiction films in everyone's imagination. Don't forget to tell me about your own interesting story when this video is over. Welcome to the meeting. Thank you for watching.